Imagine that some water molecules are hosting a party. So you have all this water and they're roommates. They live together and they decide to have a party. They invite some sugar. Sugar is made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Sugar and water get along. They're friends. The sugar goes to the party. The whole night at the party, the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms stay together. They hang out, they mingle with the water, they have fun together, but the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen never leave each other's side. They stay together all night. Water also invites some salt, some sodium chloride to the party. Sodium chloride gets along with water, they're friends, so it goes to the party. And once it gets to the party, the sodium and the chloride split up from each other. It's like you and your friend go to a party together and you get there and you see some other people you like better, so you ditch your friend to go hang out with those others. Once the sodium and the chloride split up from each other, they are now ions. You also have some lipids. Lipids do not like water, and water does not like lipids. So water doesn't even invite lipids to the party, and lipids hears about the party but says, I don't care, I don't want to go to that stupid water's party anyway. So lipids don't even show up. In fact, they go the other direction. They want to get as far away from water as they can. So things that will mix with water are hydrophilic. They like water, they mix with it. The sugar is a non-electrolyte, hydrophilic. It dissolved, which means that it did mix with the water. It went to the party, it had fun, it mixed with water. It did not dissociate. Because the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen stayed together. They never left each other's side the whole night at the party. The salt is also hydrophilic because it went to the party, but it is an electrolyte. So it dissolved because it went to the party and it mixed with water, and it dissociated. Because once it got to the party, the sodium and the chloride ditched each other and they ran off with the water molecules instead. They didn't hang out together. They went to the party together, but then they didn't hang out together once they got there. And once they ditched each other, you no longer have a molecule of salt. Now you have ions of sodium and chloride. With the sugar, sugar went to a party. Sugar came home from the party at the end of the night. The three of them went together. The three of them came home together. With the salt, salt went to a party, but they didn't come back home together. They split up into separate ions and went home separately at the end of the night. The lipids don't even want to go to the party at all. They are hydrophobic. They fear water. And they go the opposite direction. They don't even want to be near the party. That getting as far away from they can is hydrophobic exclusion. Now we're ready to test some substances. So I have our substances here and I already have them in beakers. So we have just a beaker of plain distilled water, a beaker of sugar water, salt water, vinegar, baking soda, and starch. And everything is dissolved in water. So I've already added the substances to the water and stirred them up. Here we have a simple little device, a 9-volt battery, a buzzer, and it's connected to some wires. So with the wires, right now, the two black wires are not connected to each other. So we are not completing the circuit. If we do complete the circuit, then electricity can flow through from the battery through the buzzer, and it'll make the buzzer sound. So that's what it'll sound like when the circuit is completed. So you can complete the circuit by touching the wires together, or you can have something else that would carry the electricity from one wire to another. Well, if something is an electrolyte, When you mix it with water, it dissociates into ions, and ions conduct electricity. That's why they're called electrolytes, because they conduct electricity. So if we put the two ends of the wire into a beaker, and that beaker contains an electrolyte, it will conduct the electricity from one wire to the other, so then the wire can flow through the buzzer, and the buzzer will make a sound. So we'll go through and we'll test each of our substances. So here is the distilled water. You might hear just a real faint buzz. That does not count as a positive. That's the sound that's a positive. So distilled water is not an electrolyte. It does not conduct electricity. And people always say, like, you know, don't be swimming or standing in a puddle or anything when there's lightning. The water itself, if it's pure water does not conduct electricity. But you don't actually have pure water in real life very much. The pool water is full of chlorine. The chlorine will conduct electricity. The puddle is going to be full of all sorts of impurities that would conduct electricity. But pure water will not electrocute you. All right, now we can move on to the sugar. All right, just barely a buzz. So that is a negative result. Sugar is not conducting electricity. Here is the salt. All right, loud and clear. Salt is a very good conductor of electricity. Now the vinegar. Now you may know this, vinegar is an acid. Okay, again, loud and clear. Acids dissociate. That's how you get that hydrogen ion that changes, lowers the pH. Next we have baking soda. Also loud and clear. Baking soda is the base. So acids and bases are electrolytes. And last we have starch. Starch is a storage form of glucose in plants. When plants photosynthesize and they make glucose and they have extra, they store it as starch. Just barely faint. So that is a negative result. So we had loud and clear for the baking soda, vinegar, and salt. We had negative results for the water, sugar, and starch. Okay, another experiment is the oil. Let's see what happens with the oil. So this beaker is just plain water. So I'm going to go ahead and use it now and pour some oil in it. Okay, and you can see there the oil floats up to the top. And I can stir it, try to get the oil stirred in. And I see I can kind of make some bubbles of oil down there in the water. But as soon as I stop stirring, that oil all starts to come up, back up to the top. And remember, this is that oil trying to get away from the water, and it forms a layer on top.